We begin with a Fox News alert. Just hours away from the Democratic National Convention kickoff, and already a major scandal is breaking. Just moments ago, Debbie Wasserman Schultz announced that she will step down as the party chair at the end of the convention. This comes after it was already announced she will not be presiding over the convention after WikiLeaks released emails that showed Democratic officials tilted the primary process towards Hillary Clinton. This morning, Bernie Sanders addressed the controversy.
I told you long time ago that the DNC was not running a fair operation, that they were supporting Secretary Clinton. So what I suggested to be true 6 months ago turns out, in fact, to be true. I'm not shocked, but I am disappointed. Debbie Wasserman Schultz should not be chair of the DNC. And I think these emails reiterate that. I think she should resign, period.
It's an ironic turn of events, considering that just last Monday, Wasserman Schultz tweeted this to RNC Chairman Reince Priebus. Hey, Reince, I'm in Cleveland if you need another chair to help keep your convention in order. And so, Juan, we are here in New York just for this brief pause before we go to Philly tomorrow. Is it safe to say that the Democrats are in even more disarray at the beginning of their convention than the Republicans were?
No, but I think the Democrats are in disarray. I don't think there's any question about that. The reason I say that, because obviously you have so many major splits. I don't think you have as many Democrats as Republicans who
but this is an earthquake.
The nominee. Oh, this is big news. And it's big news because Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been under pressure, strong criticism from the Sanders campaign. And it turns out Bernie Sanders was right. And it goes really deeply into terms of the Democratic coalition, because here you have Sanders as a Jewish candidate, and they're firing off emails about, does he believe in God? Would that help me with my Southern Baptist peeps? I mean, this is coming from the DNC finance chair. I don't know about the debates because we don't have that in the detail. Like, did they, in fact, limit the number of debates to benefit Hillary Clinton? Did they make other moves to benefit Hillary Clinton? But it's the tone of these emails that came from WikiLeaks, 20,000 of them, Dana, that show that, as far as they were concerned, Bernie Sanders wasn't a Democrat. That's their bottom line. He's not a Democrat. He doesn't understand the way we do business.
Well, and he had not declared himself a Democrat until just before he decided to run for president.
Well,
so, I mean, at least there is some truth there. Eric's got some details.
Can I do a little fact-checking with you?
Absolutely, man.
In 2008 cycle, there were 27 Democrat debates. This cycle, there were just 6. In October, a Democrat committee woman told the press that the DNC was, quote, clearing a path for Hillary, and the DNC pushed back, saying they were impartial to any candidates. The WikiLeaks, 20,000 of them, and just, people are just combing through them. You mentioned one questioning whether or not he's a Democrat. How about this one? Debbie Wasserman Schultz calling Sanders' campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, a damn liar, particularly scummy that he barely acknowledges the violent and threatening behavior that occurred. And she goes on to say, this is a silly story. He's just not going to be president. So there are so many things that make this a scandal that you're saying is not really that big of a scandal.
I didn't say it was. No, I disagree. I said it was a big scandal. That's what Dana asked me if there was as much disunity on the Democratic side as there had been at the start of the Republican convention.
And I said disarray.
Can I just throw this out here? I predicted she was going to step down, but I did that before the primaries. I thought she was going to step down prior to the primaries, but.
Well, they must have been working, Kimberly, all day on. I think that the writing was on the wall for her because just within the last hour, and I don't have them here, but both Hillary Clinton and President Obama have issued statements already. Nice statement saying that she's been really great, but that she's going to have to go.
So obviously they had it ready. Their rapid response was on point to address this situation. Yeah, there has been a lot of speculation because she really has dealt with some controversies during her tenure, most especially recently with the rise and the popularity of Bernie Sanders, with those supporters feeling really disenfranchised. And it goes along with the Trump theme of saying that this is rigged and crooked Hillary. So they really have to quell the noise on this. And I think it's really important, obviously, for the Democrats, for Hillary Clinton to have unification in their party with the Bernie Sanders supporters and bring together the liberal left, the progressives that are very upset about what's going on. It's a similar message that you're hearing, from both parties.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get you in here. You have thoughts on this scandal?
I just wonder if Debbie's punishment is permanent. Anyway, so now Bernie cares about this email scandal. Right. This one has nothing to do with national security. He cares about this one because it's about his security, about his politics, about his career. But the one that dealt with us, about our secrets, our national secrets.
He said nobody cared.
Nobody cared, and now he cares, and he thinks somebody should be fired. There's a couple other points. I've always said this before. When emails get hacked, I don't gloat over it. I don't get happy about it because it's going to happen to us. It's going to happen, and it's going to be embarrassing because we say terrible things in emails. We all have. Imagine how you are at 1 a.m. when you're drunk at a bar, and the things that you're emailing while you're watching TV.
Let alone the things you're tweeting.
And the other thing about Debbie Wasserman Schultz is never do mocking tweets because generally something bad happens to you the next day.
But don't worry, Greg. We saved all of yours.
I know, but the one other important thing is that it reveals how identity merchants, which the Democratic Party has become an identity merchandising company, still, they marginalize people by identity. Yeah. They're going, hit him for being Jewish, hit him for being an atheist. I mean, they're almost David Duke supporters.
Ron Fournier of National Journal, he had a column today it's called Another Clinton Email Scandal, harkening to what Greg was just talking about. And the first thing he says is that this is part of a pattern that goes back decades, because the Clintons are always just so ultra paranoid that they cut corners even when they don't have to, and they end up causing themselves problems where one never existed in the first place.
Well, I'm trying to get your point, that you think that, in fact, the Clintons were behind what Debbie Wasserman Schultz was doing?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think that there was coordination between the DNC and the Clinton campaign?
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
Right.
I thought you meant that like Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton themselves were kind of in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's
No, but they make everybody else do their dirty work, right? So they're so here goes yet another person whose career ends with a forced resignation because of the Clintons.
With Clinton tape.
Wait a second. She's the one that screwed up here.
My goodness.
It's not just her. It's the whole DNC. I mean, there are emails coming back and forth from the DNC
systemic.
to the Clinton. The whole campaign is involved, going back and forth. I mean, clearly they're not sending these things to Bernie Sanders' group.
No, but I thought, look, if you're saying that you think actually it was Hillary Clinton who was like on the phone, hey, Debbie, do this. Hey, Debbie, let's not have so many debates. I just don't buy that. I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz thought, here, I'm giving the party the best chance to win, and I don't see that Bernie Sanders, the socialist, is actually going to be a legitimate candidate.
Do you really, I mean, come on, Juan, you know better.
Not fair.
You know better than that. Like, this didn't just happen in a vacuum. I mean, she was all in for the Clintons to begin with, and for Hillary. So, yeah, she was going to do whatever it took to make sure that he was not going to interfere any further. And the more you gave him voice, the more problematic it became for Hillary. Hence, the numbers that Bowling cited with the dramatic reduction in amount of debates, despite the fact that Bernie Sanders wanted to have a voice in it. So, this is what you see happen here. And then further, the lack of transparency and the fix being in with the superdelegates, the way the Democrats run their primary. I mean, wow.
Actually, there was a controversy today at the Democratic convention. They're actually almost have the votes to switch around the superdelegate process. That's just a process point. But.
Can I just point out
very interesting.
Reince Priebus took a lot of heat for the Republican side being possibly rigged and setting it up for one or two candidates or against one candidate, and it turns out it wasn't rigged. And this one, the Democrats, no one's looking at the Democrat side being rigged, except for Bernie Sanders, and he was 100% right. They rigged this. They did, in fact, as this Democrat operative said, clear the path for Hillary Clinton. She was the nominee a year ago.
No. I think, well, that's true. I think if you were doing odds, you would have said Hillary Clinton's the likely nominee a year ago.
If you have the referees, if you're playing against the other team, and you have the referees in your pocket,
let's be clear about this.
I think Hillary was the nominee 8 years ago after they gave it to Obama and took it from Hillary, and we're like, don't worry, we got you. Next time, it's your turn. I mean, this is already...
But wait, to your point,
what?
Debbie Wasserman Schultz is Jewish. Right? It's not like she wasn't the one, and she wasn't picking even that guy.
No, but that's
he was picking on the atheist part.
But yeah, true. But this is a political reality. It's every party panders, so they're going. If you're going to state X, a southern state, we should say Y. We need to push this thing in this state. Cheap. And it's like if somebody is godless, that's like having head lice. You have to be avoided. The other thing, too, is no one should be surprised that you see the press commingling with politicians. That happens all the time. The difference here is the pretense of objectivity. If you're a conservative commentarian, you can sit there and you can indulge Trump because you're not hiding the fact that you're a conservative commentarian. But the emails show that there is bias, liberal bias, among people who pretend not to be biased. And that's kind of the scandal. Again, though, I feel really bad. Like, I feel bad talking about this because it's other people's emails. I hate WikiLeaks for doing this. I think it's wrong.
By the way, do you think that in fact what Robbie Mook, her campaign secretary, said about the Russians is true?
The Russians, I recuse myself being married to one because I have to go home after the show. One more thing. They always accuse the Republican Party of intolerance. If you look in these emails, what you find is casual homophobia. They're saying no homo in one of the emails, and I think that undercuts a lot a lot of what they've been pointing at the Republican Party for.
And also, it's not fair to say that
good for you for telling the truth and bringing that up.
Wasserman Schultz was anti-Semitic by suggesting you question Bernie Sanders' Jewish faith. It was to get votes. It was all political.
No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her.
It was to push back so that evangelicals would say, as Greg points out, well, he's not Jewish. I would respect Judaism more than atheism.
Yeah, but this guy was talking about the atheism, that this guy doesn't believe in God, and that would antagonize or alienate Southern Baptists.
For the votes, not because there's any sort of anti-Semitic mentality.
There's nothing about the Jewishness. That's why I just wanted to say it to Greg. I think this was about the idea that he was an atheist.
Are you trying to insinuate something?
Yes, an atheist.
I'm going to let you two take it up in the break.